Councillor.
Next time, we are setting a wrong precedent,
I move that Mayor will give you a very strong warning. That it shouldn't happen again, but let's proceed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
It's okay. Do you want to vote on this?
No.
are setting a wrong precedent. Can I speak? Can I speak free? Your Worship, can I speak? The mayor has given me a decision. From today up until the end of this term, whoever will come dressed in proper will never be chucked out of this house. Let's agree. Let's agree. The mayor is a councillor. You are also councillors. You know the rules. You know it. Can we proceed? Yes.
Councillor, we have a motion. We have a motion. The last motion is from. We have a motion from Councillor Nkomo, which was the last motion, that I be censured, but the meeting continue. Is there a seconder for that motion? Seconder. Those in favour of that motion.
Which one?
Councillor Nkomo's motion that I be censured, but the meeting continue under my chairmanship. Yes. Those in favour. Those in favour. Can we count, please? No, we haven't. She's not even counting. Chamber Secretary. Please.
I'm the one who's got the floor. Can I speak?
Yeah, you can go ahead. I'm chairing now.
Not anymore. Ngizakhuluma ngeza. Akusilima sindlebende kwasho. Ngalikhuluma isikhiwa ngaze ngaliphikisa sidinga dictionary. Yes. Ngicela ukuthi be protected. Isindebele is part of Zimbabwean languages. Yes. Ngiyabonga. Bengithi akusilima sindlebende kwaso. Konke amaphutha siwanothile and okuningi sokuxoxiwe. Mhlawumbe uzwile. Ayilale ngenqe. Izandla emanzini.
Siqhubekeni.
Ngiyacela amakhomrades. Ngiyacela amakhomrades.
Siqhubekeni ngomhlangano.
Izandla emanzini.
Siqhubekeni ngomhlangano.
Hayi. Khansela mhlangano. Order
ngomhlangano. Hayi siqhubekeni ngomhlangano. Hey. Hayi siqhubekeni ngomhlangano. Umhlangano.
What is the Chamber Secretary? The Chamber Secretary is responsible for It's pathetic. Councillor.
Ukukhuluma Councillor Mabeza. Ukukhuluma Mabuto. Councillor Mabuto. Councillor Mabuto. Okay, asilaleleni ma-councillors, please, ngiyacela. Sizwile, Anjo. Ukhulumile uCouncillor Nkomo. Umeya waxolisa. Sizwile bantu bakithi. Asizameni ukuthi simdedele. Ukuthi kusase ngaphinda singamxoleli. Kodwa kwakhathesi ayilale ngenxeba. Ngiyacela abantu bakithi. Inkosi libusise. Siyacela. Yeah.
Give the councillor the floor.
Ngicela silalelane bakithi ma-councillors, ngiyacela ukuthi uphambanisile sesimtshelile uzwile ngasoze aphinde kuye futhi egqoke njalo.
Amen. Amen.
Ukuthi simxolele.
Amen. Amen.
Order, Councillor Mabuto. Sokudlulile lokho.
Ngithanda ukwanga kakhulu ithuba eliphiwayo ngumphathi wehlelo me. I think okokuqala the very purpose of this meeting, it doesn't lie within our control and our means. Sinezakhamizi ezakubulawayo esithi ngaba ama-councillors angu-29 avotelwayo ngangu-10 angena nge-PR, but discusses important issues that are affecting the people of Bulawayo. I don't think they are happy now. 20 minutes wasted discussing about the suit, which we know that there are some who actually came even in this house. I'm a scarf of their political party. Department. So I think so I withdraw my statement. I think it is secure. But my point was, I think we have yet to be mayor. At least if we are mature enough, let's allow the house to move on and we have critical conversations of the people. If there are any people that we offended by our statements, we apologize. That's not our intention. My humble submission was, I think there are so many critical issues that are expected of us to then discuss as a house. The mayor has apologized. Let's try to move on, at least for the sake of time. Thanks so much.
Councillor. Can we please just give the floor to the person who has the floor?
Of the initial motion that caused this debate, and we have decided to allow you to proceed. But I want to put this very categorically clear. Bruce's statement is disrespectful, is condescending, and full of disdain. As councillors here, I stood on a matter of principle, which all of us here agree on. For Councillor Mary Moyo to come and say we are not reasonable enough, we are not mature enough, is disrespect of us, especially at a point when Councillor Nkomo and Councillor Maposa have spoken and we have agreed. May you withdraw his lack of maturity statement. We are not here to grandstand. The same residents that are sitting before us here would want us to work on principle and order. And one of the first principles is for us to identify ourselves with uniformity. And if he's pushing that narrative that we are disrespectful, may he be called to order or be removed from this house.
Yes. Councillor Moyo, there is some merit to that. I ask that you withdraw your comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know which statement I must withdraw.
Withdraw the letter.
I can happily, freely withdraw any statement, but I don't know which one. So if I may be assisted to be reminded of an exact statement, I can withdraw it.
Right, councillors, okay, please sit and please listen. Councillors, please, bear in mind that this is broadcast live and we have residents watching. May I respond to Councillor McClung? Your point, sir, is absolutely valid. We have certain standards that need to be upheld and policies, and your point was valid. I accept that. I accept that without reservation. I repeat my apology. I'm guilty as charged.
Thank you.
In mitigation, I say that I wasn't aware of the policy. I perhaps should have been aware of the policy. And secondly, because of a particularly hectic day, I literally had to rush and put a jacket on. But I'm grateful for you, for your condonation this afternoon. So may I turn back to where I was on a positive note? And I want to record for you all some very positive developments in the last month. So allow me to go through that. Firstly, I want to congratulate everyone from the town clerk to management to councillors for the successful holding of the trade fair. I think it was one of the best trade fairs. I was delighted to see how clean the city was, which is in large part due to councillors themselves. I'm very grateful for the councillors here who have been cleaning up in their own wards, demonstrating excellent leadership from the front. I'm grateful to the cleansing department for working extra hard to clean up the city. Amhlope, Makorokoto. It presented the city, it presented the nation in the best possible light. So that's the first thing I wanted to say positively. The second thing is that arising out of the trade fair, we had some exceptionally productive meetings. The first of those was my meeting with the President. President Mnangagwa, as you may have read, called me across to him in the midst of the presidential luncheon to introduce me to President Chapo. And I had a detailed discussion with President Chapo regarding the tourism potential of our city and expressed the need for us to have closer cooperation with the great nation of Mozambique. So that was an exceptionally productive meeting that occurred, and I thank President Mnangagwa for calling me across in the middle of this luncheon to make that personal invitation. Tied to that was another meeting during Trade Fair that you may not be aware of, and that was a very short meeting I had with the Minister of Lands and Water, Dr. Masuka, in which he confirmed to me that he has now given approval for the construction of glass block. As some of you know, our legal teams are now going flat out to get the necessary agreements signed so that glass block dam can become a reality. But we are grateful to Dr. Masuka for that brief meeting and for the consent that he has now given for the construction of glass block. The next meeting that took place during Trade Fair, in fact, was a series of meetings that I had with the Ambassador of Ethiopia, His Excellency Mohammed Abdul Wahid. As you know, Ethiopian Airlines is flying into our city 4 times a week. And in the course of these 2 meetings that I had with the ambassador, he has agreed to work with us to persuade Ethiopian Airlines to have a daily flight into Bulawayo. I believe that if we have a daily flight into the city, that will strengthen our ties, not just with Northeast Africa, but with the Middle East, with the Far East, and indeed all the connections that Ethiopian Airlines has. And that can only be beneficial to our desire to promote tourism and our desire to promote investment in our city. The next positive news is, as you may have seen in the course of the last month, the town clerk and I have met with the Swiss ambassador. And the Swiss have now pledged $200,000 as a contribution towards the development of the Bakta market. We are now working with finance and with the relevant committees to make that market a reality. And it is another positive development in the last month. Then, of course, we have the approval of our budget on the 22nd of April. This has been long awaited, but that budget has been approved by Minister Gawe, and we are grateful for the approval. And now we can move ahead with the projects and proposals that we wanted to. The final thing is a relatively minor thing, but it was news I got just yesterday. As our communications team know, we have been meeting with the organizers of the World Street Children Cricket Tournament. The World Championship was last held in India, and we have been lobbying together with cricket associations for Bulawayo to be the host city for the Street Children Cricket World Cup in 2027. And I was advised yesterday that we have been successful, and our city will in fact now host that tournament on the sidelines of the Cricket World Cup in 2027. Some 20, and a formal announcement of that is going to be made next week. Now that might seem relatively minor to you. It's not the entire Cricket World Cup, but there are something like 21 nations that attend the Street Children Cricket World Cup. It draws in media, it draws in many big multinationals who sponsored this Cricket World Cup, and it's another very positive opportunity for us to promote our city. So I think you'll agree with me as we reflect on the last month, particularly when we compare it to previous months where we were waiting for budgets to be approved, that it's been a strong, positive month. And so let's now go forward with our business today. Thank you, Town Clerk.
Thank you, Worship, Councillors of the City of Bulawayo, management, and indeed our esteemed stakeholders. The legal question being confirmation of ordinary minutes of confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 2nd of April 2025 and the special council meeting held on the 25th of April 2025 attached as Annexure A, pages A to Z. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Can we move to approve those minutes?
Sign.
Thank you. Right, let's move to item 2 with the Chair of Future Water Supplies, please. Propose.
Your Worship, I move that the Board of Future Water Supplies and Water Exchange meeting held on the 1st of April 2025 is submitted, be received, and various recommendations contained and be adopted.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. Debate. Any debate? Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship.
I rise to speak to item 1, the status of our water resources. Your Worship, I think we can all say with certainty that the rainfall season is over. And for that reason, we have been privileged to see our dam statistics, although slightly better than last year, but we are not any better in terms of looking at the demand and supply issues at the moment. So the city water shortage status is still with us. We are going to have to apply all the caution that we can with the little resources that we have in our dam. Yes, we may adjust the water shedding program, but we will have to do that with a lot of caution, looking at the changes in the consumption patterns. We have been privileged also to know that demand for water nowadays is different from what it used to be. There is reservoir demand, there is the pipe demand, there is the consumer demand, and a feature which did not used to exist. We now have JoJo tanks demand, although illegal, but this is the trend that is on the ground. People have to fill up 2,000 JoJo tanks, 10,000 JoJo tanks. So that's a demand which was not planned for. So we need to be very, very careful and make sure that in reviewing our water shedding, our restriction program, we need to take cognizance of that. I also want to commend the committee. I looked at the report. It talks about the medium term, and the long term. They are supportive of that. But may I also challenge them to look at the map of Zimbabwe, especially on the southeastern side of the country. Look at all the rivers. There is Tuli River, there is Maleme River, there is Mchelele River, which are going through a pristine region of our country, the mountainous Matopos area, which is ideal for putting up additional dams. And those mountains provide anchor for the dam walls. And that water will be very clean, and I think it will be free from contamination by the illegal cold panels that we see in other parts of the country. So I would also at the same time want to commend the Water and Sanitation Department for the work that it has done during a week where people suffered a lot of, we had to go through a period where there was no water for up to 2 weeks. But in one night, when it was the 21st of March, they worked through the night, repairing a pipe burst, the main river line which had the burst. I want to commend them for that. Lastly, Your Worship, I think we need to think seriously going forward. We need to think seriously about our plan to try and turn around the Water and Sanitation Department, because we are saying the city budget as a whole cannot be able to rehabilitate the infrastructure. You know, the piping, the pumps and everything. We need to think about a system, come up with a policy direction that is going to enhance our funds, make sure that we are able to acquire the new pumps, to acquire the new pipes that we need, so that we can guarantee the residents of Bulawayo a continued supply of clean water. Thank you.
Anything else on 1? Councillor.
Thank you, Worship.
You're on 1, are you?
On item 3.
Item 3. Anyone else on 1 or 2? You have the floor, Councillor.
Okay, thank you very much. Your Worship, I would like to speak on the issue of vouchers as on that item. Your Worship, if you recall well, even from our last meeting, the last proposal that we had, I was and asked a question which was on the which had everything to do with the report which was saying that as a city we've got 7 vouchers, Your Worship. And out of the 7, this has been like this, like as from day 1 we got into this council in 2023. We have got 7 Bowsers, and out of the 7 Bowsers, we only have 1 at the moment which is working. And this situation has been like this worship for the past 2 years. At some point we had 2, at some point we had 3, but I don't remember us exceeding 4 or 5 Bowsers. And my question is, I know we are now in winter, where the demand for water is very low. But when you get to the summer, from around August going forward, the demand is going to rise. And I don't know what we are doing. I know maybe the questions are going to be probably related to the future water, maybe it's supposed to be the but now that the report comes in the future water, just don't ask for this. Because maybe the information might not be in our engineering department report. So my question was, what are we doing with the issue of water? Because there's going to be a time when we're not doing it. And we know that our cities with the crisis were almost every time in between hours, and the residents themselves will need Bowsers at some point to make sure that it is to get water. That is my first question on that item. Then on the same item in Washington, the effect which are saying that at Nyamalindo Aquifer, out of the 60 boreholes that we have, the only 30 are working. And out of the 30, we are getting an average of 3.1 meters of water from those aquifers, out of a positive 20 meters of water. And I also wanted to know what would be the major challenge. There is a challenge to leaks, which has been noted. But I wanted to request maybe the department working together with the engineering, because I think their committee is working hand in hand, to make sure that at least we try and maximize those aquifers. We've got some rains this year. We let our dams at around 40% as we speak. But we desperately need also these aquifers to be maximized so that we try and save the amount of water that we have in our dams. I'll stop.
Thank you. What item, Councillor?
Item 6.
Anyone before 6? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Worship. Mine is item 6, under Bulawayo Technical Water Committee. Yesterday, the Cabinet approved a framework for the local authorities, where they seek to make sure that they measure the performance of local authorities. So I'm worried with the works under item 6, most of the works will miss the deadline. So I want to urge this department to make sure that we up our game, so that when we are measured, because they said there is going to be a dashboard which is going to measure local authorities on the performance, on the outputs, and on the time frames, which if we are achieving our time frames. So if we continue with this trajectory, I'm worried that as the city of Bulawayo, we are thriving to be best city. But if we are going to be measured with the statistics that I'm seeing, that all the projects that we undertook, which is supposed to be completed in January, all of them will miss the deadlines. So I would like to urge the department to work hard going forward, because we pride in this city of kings and queens. We do not want to be measured and found wanting. Thank you so much.
What items?
I want to write on the same item, Your Worship, by Councillor Moyo. I think the announcement by the Ministry is a good thing. It's going to expose the lazy failures in the system. If, as Council, we are fond of not meeting our targets and making excuses and hiding behind the finger, apportioning blame to government, this is the right time now to see who is fooling who. I am happy with this for 2 reasons. One reason why I'm happy is that if government is going to say this and not live up to its standard, it is going to be exposed. For example, we are dealing with a serious shortage of water, and we know that the provision of bulk water is a prerogative of government under the arm of Zino. And surely, when they have to come up with these measures, they've got to give us enough leverages to ensure that we are measured on the availability of water in everyone's taps when they've provided bulk water. At the same time, Your Worship, I think this is a good wake-up call for all local authorities. Those that are drawing salaries and do not live measuring up to their jobs are going to be exposed either. And it's time this obtains so that the residents get value for the money on service delivered. So I want to applaud the government. I also want to applaud those that are responsible for coming up with such statistics so that at the end of the day, we can both be compelled by these yardsticks to ensure we deliver, to improve the quality of life for the citizens, and also to ensure that we move towards the attainment of the council agenda of transforming this beautiful second capital city into a smart city, and also move together with the progressive world in ensuring that people get what they deserve. Thank you.
Any more debate? Before I hand to the chair, I just want to comment on some of the points made. Turning to the first one of Councillor Ndlovu, I've said this several times, but it bears repeating now. Our dams are sitting at 48% in the context of a very good rainy season. We had over 700 millimeters of rain. Those are factual statistics. 700 millimeters is well over our annual average. And yet despite that, our dams are sitting at 48%. That's a hard fact that we have to grapple with. We need to ask, why is that the case? At the very same time, if you go to the Metopus today, you will see that Maleme Dam, Mshelele Dam, Togwana Dam are not just full, they are spilling, still today. Why is that? Those dams can be full and spilling, and yet we have dams like Mchabez and Mzungwani, which are in the same rainfall catchment area, and they are sitting so low. And I'm not an engineer. I rely on our engineers. But it seems to me that the fundamental reason why this is the case is that whereas in the Metopus, the catchment area has not been devastated by mining. There's no mining in the national park. The streams, the tributaries are still pristine. However, in our catchment areas, in Mzungwani, in Nema, in Caesar, the river systems have been devastated. And this needs to be tackled. It falls under future water. But it goes beyond that, because we do not have the capacity as a city, A, to stop the illegal mining, which continues to this day. Today, this afternoon, there are miners going on despite the government policy announced late last year to ban mining. It continues. It has to stop. And then secondly, we need to discuss what is needed to rehabilitate those rivers. It's not just a matter of stopping the mining. And I would like to take the town clerk and some of you to see what I've seen with my own eyes. You will be profoundly shocked to see entire river systems obliterated. And it is no wonder that Mzungwani Dam, for example, is sitting at well below 50% still. So that has to be tackled. We can build glass block, we can repair our pumps, but we are not going to secure future water for our city unless we tackle the scourge in all our catchment areas. Turning to the second point regarding Bowsers, your point is valid, sir. It is inexcusable as a council that we've got so many Bowsers that are waiting for repairs. If anything is a priority, it should be the repair of those bowsers. And Town Clerk, I urge you, now that our budget has been approved, we need two priorities in terms of spending. The one is to get every last bowser that we have repaired urgently. And if we are blocked by PRAS, then we need to elevate it to ministerial level to get PRAS, because this is life and death for many people. Those of you who represent communities, for example, in Pumula and elsewhere, know that we've had residents go without any water for weeks on end. They don't have access to boreholes. It is unacceptable. So that must happen. And we must give no excuses for that. It must be an absolute budgetary priority. Then turning finally to the points made regarding by the last two councillors in terms of apportioning blame and the like. And I want to make two comments in that regard. If you look at the provision in the minutes that you referred to, item 6, it deals with the Water Technical Committee. And we know here we are in May 2025. Those recommendations were made by the Water Technical Committee early last year. They are extensive. These are the experts, not just our own experts. These were experts from NUST, from government. You couldn't get a more professional, scientific, objective assessment of what needed to be done. We are told, as we all know, that we need to realign the pipeline from Mchabez to Umzingwani pipe station. We need to upgrade the pipeline from Insiza. And there's a whole lot of other work, but it hasn't happened. And we can't lay that at the blame of our own staff, because we were promised money by government, which has not been forthcoming. And so our plea to government is, please release the funds that the government's own technical committee recommended should be released so that this work can be done. And then finally, Sir Councillor Moya, you are right. We have to also look at ourselves. We have agreed that we will appoint under the chair of the audit committee, under Councillor Ndlovu, a committee, the audit committee will investigate, for example, what has happened regarding our pumps, so that we understand why that has happened, so that we can learn from that, so that we don't get into this critical stage again. With those comments, I hand back to the chair.
Bese ngisithi sinanzelele laphana lathi sesikunanzelela ukuthi amanzi sokumele sireviewe i-shedding program. Sisendleleni yokukwenza khonokho, kodwa ke asisoze sakhipha total i-shedding program. Sisaselo umsebenzi omkhulu esiwenzayo eMzingwane booster station. Siyathembisa ukuthi after that sizakhangela ukuthi i-shedding program yethu siyenza njani, kodwa ke asoze sikhiphe total ukusheda amanzi. Bese ngisithi ukansela uMadzana obuze ngamabhawuza ukhulumile uNkosi laphana, hayi siyavuma icala, siyikomiti siza kukhangela, ngikhokhela ikomiti le-future water, sizabona kungumlando wethu ukuthi udirector ohlala kuleli komiti every month abuye sitshela ukuthi selamabhawuza amangaka sewalungisile under i-department lakhe asebenza ngalo. Kodwa ke okakathesi kule mtshina esiyihayileyo, i-plant and equipment yangikhona iyagoqela lamabhawuzas. Silethemba ukuthi sizaba le ndaba ezinhle going forward to our residents. Then bese ngisithi inyama yendlovu, esikhulume inyama yendlovu, amanzi enyama yendlovu si-increasile kancane ngesikhathi se-trade fair, 8 to 9 megaliters per day, which is kithi ku-committee sibona ingani siyenze ngcono, singakwazi ukuthi abanye bengasibona siyenze kungakanani. Kodwa ke izikotsho ithi ngubeke njalo, izikotsho zenyama yendlovu azikho ngaphansi kwezandla zethu, zisezandleni zezino. So ukuthi siyefika laphana kwakumele siqale siqoqode eminyango wabo. Ngalokhu ngiyabonga Nkosi.
Can we move that report? We go to item 3 on our agenda with the Chair of Health and Housing. Please move it.
I move that the reports of the Health, Housing and Education Committee meeting held on the 8th of April 2025 as submitted be received and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Yeah. Thank you. Debate on that, please. What item, Councillor?
Item 7.
Anything before 7? Ma'am?
Item 1.
Please, you have the floor.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi.
So item 1 khona kwesikhuluma nge-cleansing department. Ngiyacela kule inkundla ukuthi sigezelele ama-community sweepers. Sisibisele ukuthi sigcine uBulawayo ehlanzekile. Ngizakhuluma ngo-Ward 7. I-Ward 7 ama-community sweepers ayi-15 kodwa umsebenzi uba mningi kakhulu Nkosi. Besicela ukuthi singezelele ngale ngasinika ama-community sweepers ayi-5 lingabe lisincedile. Ngiyabonga.
Ma'am, what item?
Item
3. Anyone before 3? Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Boss. Item 3. Ngikhuluma nge-Health Inspectorate. With a great concern, Your Worship, siyananzelela ukuthi okwenziweyo yi-committee ukuthi bangene phakathi lapha emuzini wakoBulawayo bakhangele kakhulukazi kuma-food outlets bebone i-cleaning esekhona. But with a great concern, ungathi kukhona lapho esingakhangela khona. Singakhangela Your Worship, I'm very much worried about issue of ama-illegal levels. All over the place, I'm not talking of CBD, okay? I'm talking of even my locations in you find someone selling papa, chips, someone is plating hair next door, someone is busy playing music within jail. It's more like now a broad point. What has happened with uBulawayo omuhle esephenduke waba yincineleza? It's really embarrassing if whenever you go uzathola ama-plastics all over. Abanye Nkosi bafaka emgwaqweni, there is no longer order. Lastly, angikhumbula sisakhula, people used to respect uBulawayo, but abantu abasarespect uBulawayo. Why is it njalo Nkosi? Ingcekeza silapha isisesabele because abantu sebesenza as they please. I-law enforcement yethu ngathi iyaleka because some of these people, they don't even have ama-licenses. Bayenza the way abafuna ngayo. So by so doing Nkosi khona lokho kusinika umkhuhlane. Abantu bazagula singananzelele ngelinye lamalanga. Taking for example, ngeke ngathi ngihambe emarket this morning, ngithole ihip yengcekeza, people are selling food but next to ingcekeza. Kwenzakalani koBulawayo ngendlela uBulawayo seyiyo yona sesiyinhlekisa. So kunganjani Nkosi i-law enforcement yethu siyiqinise abantu bafakwe ngendlela. For example, lapha engihlala khona mina kunzima, they've changed that place bazibayibiza bathi i-Bingatel, whereby kule nhlanzi there's fish here, there's nyawo zenkukhu, there's I don't know, all sorts of meat emgwaqweni Nkosi. Is that proper? Akuvumi koBulawayo, akuvumi. Ngicela mina as i-council sibone nini ukuthi into beyisiyayizama ukuyilungisisa. Ama-key areas of concern yi-adequate waste management. Uma singakukhangelela khona lokho, i-improper disposal igcina isisenza indawo yethu inyanyeke. Besicela ama-measures angcono ngoba eqinisweni what is happening in our Bulawayo, our beautiful city is no longer the same. If ever singangena lingene emalokishini as a council sibone ukuthi kwenzakalani. If it was possible lingene especially ngesikhathi zantambama. I-department leyi mangathi kwelinye ilanga wothi singene nini ntambama, you'll be shocked ukuthi kwenzakalani khona. But my point here is let's be aware ukuthi into esiyekelelayo izasilimaza thina njenge-council. I thank you.
Thank you. What item? Item 4. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's a follow-up to the motion that was raised by a fellow councillor, which I think is a cause of concern to this council. In my understanding, I've then come to an agreement with myself that there are two issues embedded around the cleanliness of the city, especially on the CBD, and the issue to do with the vendors. Number one, we understand that vending has become a means of not only production but a means of is survival to the majority of the residents in Bulawayo. There's no employment, they depend around selling veggies and tomatoes to feed their families and to take their kids at home. Number two, I saw that this council made an effort for the past year, this beginning of the year, to increase even the law enforcers to try and ensure that they implement and enforce law in managing the city. But if we are to be honest as a council, we can all agree that this is beyond this council. It's so unfortunate that we are living in a generation where politics is above the law. But if we are to be honest as a council, we need to agree that our council has done all the best to try to curb the abnormalities that are happening in our CBD so that the residents may be aware of the real issue that is at hand. We propose in this council that there must be critical political engagements that needs to be done with the leadership of this council. You, Mayor, the Deputy, the Town Clerk, the Chamber Secretary, and the Chairperson, of course, of this committee, because we have done all that we can as a council. We have tried to increase the law enforcers, but we know where the problem is. So rather than us treating the symptoms of the disease, let's go to the root cause of the disease. And it's a political motive which must be discussed at a political level. If the political players agree to clean the city of Bulawayo, we can be rest assured that that thing it will last for 24 hours. But also, it is our responsibility as a council to make sure that we create safe spaces for our the vendors, because we need also to accept it. The economy of Bulawayo, and it has been a means of what is survival. So it's very important for us as a local authority also to create the safe spaces at the local level. Let's create a 15-minute CBD within the areas where we are coming from, so that we also decongest the city and make sure that at the local level people get the goods and services which they desire. But fundamentally, let's agree to have a political conversation with the political players that are causing chaos in the CPD. This council has done great. In my own view, I think it's beyond our level. Thank you so much.
What item?
Same item.
Same item.
Into ehluphayo ngiyokuthi some of the areas in Bulawayo, for instance, i-Kautuka, it has gone very big. Akuna facilities ukuthi abantu bethenga, for instance, isitshebo. So awe-Cultural amabhutshawo yona lana emgwaqweni and kakula ngenye indlela because akula lapho esingathenga khona. They've tried abantu ama-vendors labana to register and to pay for ama-licenses. They've paid. But Tina, as a council, we are failing to avail spaces for people to have proper structures and start to sell izinto ngendlela eqondileyo. So maybe kungabe kubamba ama-departments amaningi planning le yield housing. I think we need to sit down and start to think about the equity part where we are saying we are not giving ama stands our business we tell we ama butcheries we ama bottle stores simple because the area is unserviced, but we allowed those people to build and to build this. We are now saying bring a bit store. So in as much my fellow councillor is saying, you know, let's go and probably rate those people who are selling meat in Shanzi land. I'll say Cultural agume until we avail stands for ama shops. The other blunder that we are doing, possible we are giving space business, we are giving it maybe 10,000 square meters, we are giving it to one person. And that one person takes 10 years to develop that structure. Sisafisa abantu because in that premise one butcher okumele ibe khona phakathi. And ngasakwanisile ukuqeda ukwa. Where do we expect those people to buy meat? Where do you expect those people to buy izchebo? Where do you expect those people to have lapho indawo zokunathela so that kungabi lamanjengo? So I'm saying I think we need to re-strategize and think about what should we do, especially in Cultural in terms of business, in terms of bringing hygiene. For now, we cannot go and stop abantu bemacaravan because that's where we buy, and we have nowhere to buy.
Item 3, ma'am. What? Item 5. So, Councillor, you have the floor.
Your Worship and Councillors, the trust lies on realizing as a city that we need to remodel our economy. We are still fixated in the old ways of believing that people have got to go to Belmont and Donington and work and pass by OK and buy. I'm glad I have seen the Economic Development Office are bringing in MOUs with the universities, the PRPs and the Africa Commission, Research Commission. Your Worship, we need to ensure that we need to wake up to the reality that things have changed. And if we are to move together with the progressive world, look at how Korea has progressed with the issue of vendors. The vendors have become the backbone of their economy because they got awake to the reality that they had to remodel their economy around vendors because the industry is dead. As this beautiful city of Bulawayo, Your Worship, before we accept that we have to remodel our economy, it is important to do research and development with these universities, with the important stakeholders, with the policymakers and council management, so that in unison, Your Worship, we understand the reason why we have to work together to ensure we create new streams of revenue. And these streams of revenue, Your Worship, are not only going to be a panacea to the residents, even the beautiful city of Bulawayo. I was looking at the ZESA bill with our city council, Your Worship. It is amazing to have such a huge bill. When we have such tall buildings, where we can call for unsolicited bids and quickly get people to come and put solar panels and reduce the bill by half or to zero. But because we have not thought around the economic remodeling, we still believe that we have to work hard and residents pay rates, we take the money and go and pay ZESA. When we can completely eradicate ZESA and use ZESA as an option to our electricity needs. So my call, Your Worship, is that I know you are anti-workshops, but Your Worship, Your Worship, in this beautiful city, we have a very big city hall where we can call universities.
I like your venue.
We call the important stakeholders. Even the people of this world who are always full of ideas but opposing what council does. They come to the city hall, we come together and remodel the economy together. So that then, even in our planning, this is the day when we are going to value the SMEs. This is the day when we are going to value the vendors. And this is the day, Your Worship, also where we are going to be able to receive money paid by these vendors occupying our beautiful built spaces. I'm so encouraged by your speech when you're saying we've got $200,000 ready to facilitate the development of backers for obvious reasons of giving our beautiful vendors a decent place to trade. It is going to be easy also to collect revenue because the bays are going to be clearly marked and we are going to ensure that each vendor pays for the space they are doing. And can you imagine, Your Worship, where all these vendors in 5 streets, over 500 going to Baghdad, and all of them contributing a minimum of $1 per day. How much money will we realize? And that money is going to go towards service delivery, which feeds into uplifting their quality of life themselves, which is going to feed into assisting the water recirculation system so that they don't get this water that is contaminated. So this benefit, Your Worship, of MOUs, research and development is a bi-directional win-win situation for the residents and the beautiful city of Bulawayo. Thank you so much.
Councillor, I will respond in more detail at the end, but I love your evangelical fire, and we all need to embrace that. We're still on item 3. Item 4 is item 3? Item 3, sir.
Yeah. So can I go ahead, Mayor?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you. You were so eloquent, my dear brother. And history will remember you very fondly. The problem we have, Your Worship, is that we don't want to think outside the box. We don't want to tap into opportunities which are surrounding vendors. And I believe Moses Wabantu agree with me, Councillor Mdangi, of Ward 1. There is a bigger opportunity which we can tap into as a city from vendors. But we are not seeing it. And we don't want to explore that. I will twin this, we were saying e-40s, with the, because I will treat those as vendors. I licensed the letterboard shops in town. We have got thousands and thousands of them as we speak right now. I made a research, and the ZRP, Your Worship, is collecting $35 US from any unlicensed shop in town. Money which we should be collecting us as a local authority. And the vendors out there, they are saying, they are volunteers who want to be licensed in their small places where they are inhabited. But we are not flexible. because sithandikulandela umthetho too much. My lecturer said too much discipline is indiscipline. You see, so that is our problem. We are so scared to tap into that and approach those vendors. Vendors are willing to cooperate with us. They are willing to remit something in our coffers. Those people in multiple shops, Yoshi, they are willing to remit something into our coffers. But they are saying your council is not flexible. We are too rigid. We chuck them away. We quote chapters. We quote archaic bylaws which have passed through their heydays. We need to revisit those bylaws and make it workable to our vendors there. And we've got a win-win situation. We need to have consensus at GDEP, what we call the union of two minds, and move the thing forward. Thank you.
We're still on item 3. Councillor Moya, item 4. You have the floor, sir. Councillor Moya. Ma'am, you're on item 5. Sorry? Item 4. Councillor, the lady councillor did have her hand up before you, so...
No, I rose my hand before.
Madam, will you give the floor to you?
Thank you. Sorry, Mami. Thank you, Worship. This committee or the department is divided into two. The one that talks about refuse, which has been attacked a lot, but mine I rise to thank the Department of Clinical Services. Item 4 is the heading says public health, surveillance, epidemiology, and emergency management. The department has been so proactive, and there's a list of diseases that they are already monitoring in a proactive manner. However, I would like on the list to add the bed bugs issue, because we've seen that it is now causing havoc in the capital city. And we know these days the world that we are living under, it's a big village. Travelers travel overnight coming here to sell their wares. By morning they are back to the capital city. As I'm still writing on the cabinet declaration yesterday, they made a framework that says minimum service delivery standard framework. So we must make sure that the department is fully equipped and given the necessary resources so that we avert these bed bugs that are causing mayhem. The city of Mutare is already a stake. They are doing very well. They are spraying most of the areas, and it is the research is saying those old clothes are coming through the city of Mutare, but they haven't been affected by this bed bug issue because they are proactive. They are spraying all the corners of their city. So I want us to give more resources to this department, which is doing so well under the other section, under their clinics, under the medical side. Already it has been attacked, like I said, on the refuse park. So that one I'm talking about the other side. Thank you.
Ma'am, you now have the floor. Be patient, thank you.
My point has been taken by Councillor my son on bed bugs. Sesikuphile Yoshi. Sesikhona koBulawayo. Thina njengoBulawayo mzamo bani sesiyenzile ukunqabela Councillors order. Mina ngihlala eMakhokhoba. Ngiqamele irenkini lapho kuhlala khona amabhasi, okubuya khona amabhasi wonke avele eHarare. Isikizi sezikhona. Njengokhansili thina mzamo bani sesiyenzile ukuthi si spray izindawo zonke ukuthi singasidumba kithi hayi isikizi asisifuni. Asifuni ukulinya isikizi yo worship.
We are, Councillor, let's have order. We are on item 4. Does anyone wish to contribute to item 4? What item, Councillor?
I wanted to raise the same item, but on item 7. But
well, let's come to 7.
Vector
anyone
control.
Want to debate anything prior to 7?
Same issue.
You have the floor, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I wanted to talk about the same point. Was on item 7. Also notes that I think one of the challenges is that in Sigizang corner is late genetic resistance to pesticide. Some of them, I know in Harare as well, they've discovered that, and globally as well. I think entomologists, those people that study insects. So I don't know what proactive measures we are also taking to ensure that whatever pesticides we apply are effective. Because in some places they've discovered, even in Harare, the pesticides that they're applying, they're not effective because those bed bug insects have developed resistance. So probably, I'm sure the department is very proactive. They're looking into that. Now are very able so that you don't just spray, but insects zingafi. So I'm making the committee to aggressively look into that so whatever resources we use are efficiently and effectively used.
Yes, on the same item, Your Worship.
7.
Yeah, item 7, yes. There is one missing link there. We are talking about the problem and asking how the department shall deal with the issue. My thinking is that we should encourage residents to practice cleanliness. Let's be clean in places where we stay. Then after that, we then go to department to say also must have the remit for that. But ours as policymakers, let's encourage the residents to be smart. Maybe let's also ask those who order second-hand clothes from outside Bulawayo to first boil them before they take them to their market. That is what I stood up to speak about.
It's a good suggestion.
Yes.
Right, we're on item 7. Have we got further debate? 23. Anything before 23, councillors?
14.
14. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Worship. Housing registry, housing administration. Your Worship, there are residents at Sitojiwe flats, over 700 residents who stay there. I think council declared that place not fit for human habitation. So in 2001, a sizable number of those residents actually applied for new housing under the Millennium Scheme. And 24 years later, I visited the place last week. There's been no update on their status. This is 24 years later. So I would like to urge the department, I'd actually like to urge the housing department to look into the issue of Stojiwe flats. Stojiwe flats is a time bomb. It's a time bomb. It's not, I know we said it's not fit for human habitation, but those people have been there for years and they're not doing anything about that. So if this council can actually have a commission or a committee that can look into the short-term, medium-term, long-term interventions for those people. There are over 600 of them, Your Worship. We should visit the place. One of the most quality places in the city. So let's have the housing department maybe dispatching a team headed by the chairperson, the director of housing, the director of health, to look at the conditions of those people and also to address the housing registry issues. Because new people keep on going there. It's already crowded. But people keep on going there and we don't know who actually is accommodating those new people. So that needs to be looked to as a matter of agency by our registry office and by the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we have 23. 23, sir. 19. Anyone before? 19, okay. Anyone before 19? So you have the...
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. Mine is on stadia booking, zeroing in on basically we have three major stadiums in the city, namely Baba Fields, our legendary Baba Fields, White City and Louisville. And I've discovered is in my ward, we have Sizinda grounds where we have a potential of turning those grounds into a stadium, because they are all facilities are there, the dressing rooms, the water is connected, and there is some kind of what do you call this? Terraces. So we can actually tap into that and upgrade that grounds into a stadium, so that we can have revenue coming into City Council. We have a team that is residents in the ward called the Zebra Revolution, headed by Muko Kelly, one of Highlanders' finest forward. There's a team there, and the issue now is they are playing their home matches away, like warriors who play their home matches in another country. That cannot be allowed. The issue being there is no offense according to ZIFA standards. And they were crying to say, no, City Council is not forthcoming. We want to upgrade. Actually, they've come as a community with other teams to say, if Council can lease this ground to us, we can uplift it into a nicer stadium, because it benefits us as the community. So their cry is saying, we want to play our home matches at home at Sizinda ground. So that is their plea, to say, may Council put whatever condition to that list, to say, we have the capacity, we have partners who are willing to upgrade the stadium, so that at least the community can also enjoy seeing bigger teams coming in Sizinda to play, so that they can also watch big names and stuff. So I applaud the committee to look into that, to pursue that, so that they can make that conditions favorable, so that the community can benefit from their resources. Both the grounds are for the community, and the community have come together and say, if you can have a win-win situation with Council, we have partners who are able to pour money to uplift the stadium. The stadium will remain a City Council, you see. So that is their plea, Your Worship, and I would want to appeal to the committee to pursue that and allow Zebra Revolution to be listed the stadium together with other teams that are resident in the community, so that they can use Sizinda grounds as their home ground without playing their home matches in another place. Thank you very much, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. I'm loving the passion this evening. Yes. But please, can we try to keep our contributions a bit shorter? Otherwise, we'll be here until breakfast.
Same item.
Same item, Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry, I'll come to you, ma'am. Sorry, Deputy Mayor. Would you mind, our lady councillor did have her hand up before you. It's the same item. And I'll come to you thereafter.
Sorry, ma'am. Thank you. She has agreed. Right. Yes, I want to write on the point raised.
You know what they say, hell hath no fury than a woman scorned.
Yes. I want to write on the point raised by Councillor Maposa. This issue is not about Sizinda or one particular team. It's about the whole of Bulawayo. We are doing things traditionally. We have not yet appreciated triple Ps, public-private partnerships. We have many teams or many business people or many team owners who would like to upgrade our grounds or stadiums so that they use them, but the stadium still will belong to the city of Bulawayo. I think let's be open to that. On Saturday, when I was watching our beloved Bulawayo City throbbing at White Sea Stadium, yes. I spoke to Zifa guy who was saying there is a South African who have bought a team in Division 1 who wants to come and adopt any one of the stadiums in Bulawayo, upgrade it, but the stadium remains as the property of City of Bulawayo. So I want to agree with what Councillor Maposa have just said, to say, let's support those initiatives. Let's support them. Let's not be too rigid as the City of Bulawayo. Yes, we've got our way of doing things, but for now, the economy does not allow rigidity. Let's be flexible and allow other players to come and assist us. Even in my ward, in Ward 8, at Ngoboenja there, the teams want to develop those playing fields, but the fields will belong to the City of Bulawayo. So I wanted to buttress what Councillor Maposa had said.
Thank you.
I thank you, Your Worship.
Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Esteemed councillors, I was checking on the list, Yamana communities, and I noticed that in Gami still we don't have a community walk, housing office. We rely on the Congestion Housing Office and we don't have a community walk. So it is my submission that we've got land developers, we private land developers in the ward. At least if they can avail and plow back to the community, either giving us a housing, a community hall or the housing office. Again, in Ghanaian we have only three grounds for social soccer. So it is also our wish that we could have one of the amenities. Thank you.
Item 19. I'll come to you, sir.
Thank you very much. You see, the problem which we have as a city, that is I don't know what kind of demon it is. I was reading today that Magaya is going to be allowed to renovate White City Stadium. And yet, what Councillor Maposa is saying, Abangagiti Kona, Siabala Plant, very soon, Zazutu Magaya says White City, but very Kona. Why are we not promoting our own? These are our own who want to bring the resources to develop their city. Because it anti-progress. We must revisit those laws. Isivumele abantu besikolo sona lesi bethuthukisa isikolo sabo. Ngiyabonga.
Please, can we have one meeting and respect the councillor speaking? We're on item 19. Do we have further debate? We've got 23 coming up. 20. You have the floor, ma'am.
I would like to congratulate our kids that are going to be representing us in the national athletics competitions. Seeing that my former primary school is on the list, I am very proud of our State Council Schools. Okay. Kindly clap hands for our
Is there any further debate? I want to respond. No
respond and we move.
Right.
Worship.
Councillors, I want to respond on a couple of things. Firstly, on cleansing department, I want to make the same point I made with regard to Bowser's. The report that we've had from the cleansing department head is that we have 13 refuse compactors that are sitting unserviceable at present. We are advised that it will cost $38,900 to do the repairs for those compactors. And Town Clerk, once again, my appeal now that the budget has been approved. That must be a priority. We must get our refuse compactors, all of them, functional again. If you see how much it costs to buy a new one, the new compactors cost $150,000 US for one vehicle. If we spend $38,000, I'm advised that we can get 13 vehicles back on the road. It must be a priority. So can it be made a priority now that the budget has been approved? Then secondly, I want to refer back to the passionate speech regarding vendors made by many of you. It's close to our heart. We cannot be seen to just waving the stick without providing carrots for vendors. Vendors did not ask to be placed in the position they are. And we have to provide attractive alternatives for them. We have agreed now, Mr. Siziba is here, town planning, on the paper regarding markets. And there are 3 tiers to that. The large markets on the perimeter of the city, which include Egodini. Egodini is floundering at present. It is a crying shame that it is floundering. And we urge management to act with all speed to ensure that we get that underway again by whatever lawful means there are possible. We've had the good news on Bakta. We need to move with urgency on Bakta so that we get another large market to attract people out. And we know the basic ingredients of those structures. As we've seen in Mbari Masika, you have a large market with a roof so that vendors and their customers are protected from the elements. We need smooth floors so that they can be kept clean. In this day and age of solar power and these large roofs, we need solar power on those roofs so that we don't have to worry about power cuts and we can cut down on expenses. And of course, we need clean water and toilets. Those are the basic necessities for these markets so that they become attractive environments. I often tell the tale, many of you will know one of our heroes, a veteran, Paul Tembe Nyati. Many of you will know him. He's now 82. Soon after I was elected, he put me in a car and he took me, ma'am, to Makakoba market. And he said, let Makakoba inspire us all. Not just because of the retail activities going on at Makakoba, but critically because of the manufacturing activities taking place in Makakoba. And we need to realize that we have to provide facilities not just for the retail sector, but for those in our midst who have this amazing manufacturing ability, but not the capital required to take them to the next stage and to be assisted in that transition to the formal sector. And so these large markets are critical for that in that first phase. Then the second phase, of course, is in the high density suburbs. We've got in Kulumani, but we need more. And then finally, to come back to this issue of dignity, our third tier must be for the solo vendors. Town planning, we need to identify throughout the city where are the locations where we can earmark for solo vendors, and what structures can we provide so that we don't have the spectre of black plastic structures that don't protect the goods, don't protect the vendors, don't protect the purchasers. And we need to have a network. And coming to your point, Councillor Mahlanga, in terms of revenue, if we have formally allocated stands throughout the city so that the vendors themselves have the confidence that they are there legally, they have the dignity of knowing that they are there legally, we also then can have the right to get the tens of thousands of dollars in rentals every month from the 10, 12, 15,000 vendors that we have right across our city. So I share your passion, sir. But now we must take these plans and place them into reality. One final point regarding your comment regarding workshops. I'm not against workshops. I'm for workshops. I'm for workshops, but I'm about us doing it effectively. We have a training center next to White City Stadium. The city has its own training center. It lies idle at present. That is shameful. And I know that you councillors are battling to come out. I'm not suggesting that you get anything less as a sitting allowance so that you attend those workshops. But why are we going to other cities when we have our own venues? And that is my point regarding workshops. I need to make that very clear to you. Can I end on the issue of bed bugs? Deputy Mayor, I think that your proposal was excellent. We may laugh at that about boiling clothes, but it's practical. It's absolutely practical. And we need to be at the forefront of this. We can't let Mutare steal a march on us. This has been the cleanest city in our country for years. And so, Town Clerk, this needs to be an absolute priority to make sure that we don't have the spectre of these bed bugs in our city. Thank you. Ma'am, would you like to respond?
Thank you for all the concerns and the comments. Most of them have been already answered. I'll just try to go over some. I think you can all realize that this report has already been a meeting on its own. How long we took on one report. DM have already alluded to the issue of bed bugs. I think as councillors, we are supposed to encourage residents in our respective wards to get rid of maybe buying second-hand clothes, since my bed bugs can be transported only through traveling. So second-hand clothes, second-hand furniture, mattresses, all those can bring bed bugs from these other cities which are already facing that challenge. I think as Bulawayo, we have not yet received a single report about bed bugs within the city, but our surveillance is highly alert. So let's encourage all residents to report if they can see any signs of that, blood spots on sheets or blood spots on clothes. Let's encourage them to report to their local clinics as soon as possible. I think maybe this other might be there, but we are still taking them as rumors because we have not had any report as a department. Then the issue of grounds. Those who are interested can bring their proposals. I think our office is open. We have an open door policy. I have always appealed to my dear colleagues, councillors, that as a committee, we are available throughout the month. All these brilliant ideas can be shared during the course of the month so that we can excel as a committee. Then there is the other issue of Stojiwe. About 100 stands were availed, as Councillor has already alluded to the issue of Country Park. But residents who are residing in that area failed, we assume due to economical challenges, to pay for those stands. Also, in Millennium at Mkanwini, most of the residents at Stojiwe failed. to pay rentals. So I think as yes, tried its best, but we are always going to continue making some efforts. But for those without money who cannot afford to pay, it will always be difficult to assist. Then again, there was the issue of I think Mayor has already alluded to the issue. As a department also, we are facing challenges. I think you noted that only 7 compactors are on the road, but most of the times there are only 5 compactors. Also that we have been surviving with only 3 supervisory trucks. So you can see that even if the department is trying, but with the lack of resources, we cannot afford to do what we can do if we had resources. The equation cannot balance. If there are no resources, really at the end of the day, we cannot miraculously bring very good results. Then on the same issue again, littering and the garbage and the issue of vendors. I think the deputy mayor, the mayor and other councillors have already alluded to the issue that as a council, we have made all the efforts that one can make to save a city from this chaos we are finding ourselves in. Our mission says a smart transformative city by 2025. And as a city of kings, we have always been a first-class city in terms of cleanliness. But we have found ourselves in this chaos, which our hands are tied. We, as a chairperson of the Health and Housing Committee, I would like to appeal to the central government to intervene strongly on the issue of illegal vendors. I also appeal to the Office of the Minister of State and Provincial Affairs to assist us as a city to retain our first-class status as the smartest city. On our own, we have tried, but this situation is too politically. Our employees, our health inspectors, our municipal police have been assaulted. So we are seeking the intervention of the central government. I thank you.
Can we move that report?
No.
With the Chair of Environmental Management and Engineering, move his report.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to know that the report of the Environmental Management Committee on the 14th of April 2025 is submitted the field, the various recommendations contained therein being adopted.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. Debate. What item, ma'am?
Item 3.
Anyone before 3? Ma'am?
Item 3.
Item 3. Anyone before 3? So you've got the floor.
I just wanted to ask him, there is a serious outcry from the residents on the issue of ambulances. On several occasions, I tell you that we tried to seek the services of the municipal ambulances and we did not get any. So I just wanted to know the status of our ambulance services. How many ambulances do we have and how many are working? And is there any chance that we might get more ambulances so that at least we can try and save lives around our city? Thank
Thank you. We have two councillors on item 3. Sir?
Item 3.
3. Ma'am, you've got the floor.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi. Ngiphakamele ukuchayela ihlombe uChalimana wekomiti le komiti yakhe yonke ngomsebenzi abawenze phakathi nakomuzi ngoku-award ama-tenders kuma-contract lawa asincedise amasuwa asihluphe iminyaka leminyaka. Abantu baka-Ward 10 Committee Engineering bathe ngizobonga isuwa entabeni eyenziwe yi-NAMS company isile minyaka more than 15 years behlala besengcekezeni bayaqalisa nqa lo nyaka ukuhlala labo bebesedolobheni lilethe utshintsho committee chairperson le committee yakho siyabonga Nkosi.
Siyabonga kakhulu nami ngizahamba phezu kwalokhu ukhansila kutshoyo ukuthi sibonge ikomiti mzamo laloba kithi ku-Ward 17 kwehlule amasuwa sitholile. Ngithemba ikomiti lizazama eminye imizamo njengoba thina siledwala phansi behlulekile ukwenza imizamo yokuthi amasuwa aphele. Njalo ngithanda ukuthi kukomiti leli Chalimane thina sihlale emaPeri Eden silama-flat toilets, ama-flat toilets ethu asegcwele. Sicela libe nemizamo ngoba setown lisikhozi ukuthi lathi isedolobheni lisikhangelele ukuthi lenza mzamo ubani ukuthi ingcekeza lena liyisuse lapha sisale sisalelisa ukusebenza. Ngiyabonga.
Sir?
Okay, thank you very much, Your Worship. I would love to applaud the department for engaging the private contractors who are working around our city. I would love to, I've got a message for our residents. I think lapho kube lama contracts kona lapha we have noticed izinto ezikhitshwa kumasuwa, things that have been removed from the sewer systems. We've got sand, we've got stones, we've got cloth material, we've got spoons, pampers, hair pieces, etc. So, I've got a message to the resident that can you kindly take care of our sewer infrastructure? It's taking a whole lot of millions of dollars to repair the sewer system. So I urge our residents to take care of our sewer infrastructure. I would also love to urge the department through the chairperson, the director of works, no, the director of water and sanitation, the town clerk. Town clerk, can you kindly extend the contract of these private contractors? They are doing an excellent job. They are doing an excellent job. I would like to speak in respect of my ward, Country Park. I've got a problematic area in M11, a Hope Flight. We need those contractors to come and remove these items that I've mentioned here. I would also like for the contractors to also attend to Section 10, which was serviced by Glendale. The sewer system there is non-functional. I'm sure the reason is being that there are these items that I've mentioned here. But above all, I would like to thank the department for engaging these private contractors. Thank you.
Right, we are on item 3. Item 3? Sorry, item 3, sir.
Thank you, Worship. In the same charitable tone of gratitude, I want to appreciate the work which has been done in Ward 2 by the private contractors. The collective sigh of relief caused vibrations all the way to my office. Because what has been happening before these works were done, my phone was burning my ear literally, because these were serious issues that were affecting the living conditions where those houses are located. And I want to appreciate and encourage the residents as well, because we are all custodians of our sewer infrastructure. So this message can never be overemphasized. We need to really make sure we circulate this message and preach it until everyone has been converted. Because usually the perpetrators, unfortunately, will not be the only victims when there's a blockage. It's usually the innocent ones who do not even know what caused the blockage who end up affected. So I want to thank the committee. I want to also support the extension of that mandate, so that maybe when they are done, we will have a Bulawayo which has got a well-functioning sewer system. I thank you.
So, three? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I also wanted to say there is a sewer system which has also been attended in my ward, and I would want to appreciate the work which is being done by the engineering department. But most importantly, Your Worship, as the team which was attending the sewer system was handing it over to us as the council, they also presented to us a report which was saying when they were checking on the sewer pipes before they started attending to them, they discovered that most of the things which were causing sewer blockages on that sewer pipe were mostly due to vandalism, deliberate vandalism, especially by those people who are doing urban farming. They block, sometimes they even blow up the pipes so that when the sewer overflows, then they use that water to do their irrigation. So I also wanted to say, like the other fellow councillors are saying, I think we need to take action against. We know we are in a terrible situation when it comes to hunger and other things, but we cannot then do away with our sewer infrastructure just because we want to water our plants. I would want to encourage the department to make sure that we try and eradicate urban farming, especially along sewer lines, so that people do not tamper around with our sewer infrastructure. That is my submission. Thank you.
So, Councillor, are you on item 3? 14. Any? 3.
But now I'm a pump station and song. I'm going to say, over in the I'm a pump station, especially in a pump, what living, and my candidates, pump station in food. But because of the pump station is living, so it's hanging from
Item 3, ma'am. Please, you have the floor.
Mina ngiphakamele ukubonga kakhulu umsebenzi owenziwe. Ngiphakathi kokubonga kanjalo Nkosi. Ilesicelo ukubana ikhampani ithe isiqedile umsebenzi wayo omuhle. Ngiyananzelela ngoba eluvele yahamba imphefumulo ngenxa yesuwa. Ithe isiqedile abadala basusa izivalo. So bengicela kakhulu ukuthi nxa bengalungisa batshintshe ukufaka izivalo lezi ezithengisekayo, befake izivalo ezingathengisekiyo. Angazi ukuthi bangakwenza kanjani ukuze besifakele izivalo ezingathengisekiyo. Isicelo sami ngelaso.
We're on item 3. Any Sir, you wanted to go to 14. Item 11, you have the floor, ma'am.
Ngithanda ukubonga i-department nginanzelela i-report yezemvelo
ukusebenza nzima kwama-rangers bengena egangeni begcina izemvelo zethu, kodwa nginanzelela ukuthi bayasilela kuma-tools of work, ikakhulu kuzimota. Indlela umsebenzi wabo ngakhona nxa lingabakhangelela Shalimane ukuthi liba-upgrade imoto abahamba ngazo ngoba bagijimisa imoto eziqinileyo zethu ngalezi ezihamba egangeni. Ezabo kanelisi ukwenza ukuthi umsebenzi nxa lingayi-improva ukuthi imoto zabo zibe ngcono bathole ezi-upgraded ezingcono ezihambelana lomsebenzi. Sikhangele ukuthi thina singubulawayo sikhankasa kabanzi kuma-issues of climate change mitigation. Nxa i-department le ingatholanga izinto zokusebenzisa kuzaba njengokuthi asilanto esiyenzayo to mitigate kuma-issues of climate change. So ngithe nginanzelele khona ukuthi likukhangelele ukuthi i-department leyo liyincedise kakhulu ngoba umsebenzi abawenzayo mkhulu.
Yeah. Item 11, is it? 14? 12. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Ngiyabonga njalo Nkosi. Siku-item 12. Ku-grass cutting. Nkosi mina ngathi kawungiphathanga kahle. Umsebenzi wokuqunywa kotshani awukho lula Nkosi. Ngendlela abantu ababhadala ngakhona. Nkosi kuyafanana lokuthi abantu bayagqilazwa. Abantu abazweli abanye abantu. Abantu abakhatha utshani ngabantu abadubekileyo abalenhlupho emakhaya balabantwana abafuna ukubhadalela i-school fees ngabantu abalendingeko eziningi. Kuthi kunjalo Nkosi lo nyaka ngilethemba linanzelele ukubana utshani bukhulile. Ngike ngazama Nkosi ukuthi lami ngingene lezakhamuzi kodwa ngithe ngisiyaqeda isandla sami sasesibuhlungu. Esindebeleni kulotshani kuthiwa umnyango awukho lula. Utshani bekwenile. Nxa ngithi ngiyabuzisisa bathi bona abantu babhadala bayameasure. Indaba yokumeasure leyo ingani igqilaza kakhulu abadala. Ngicela linanzelele. Utshani kuyathi bukhulile ukuze akufanani ukusilesha nje besithi nxa uthaka usenze nje uhamba utshani babe kuphansi. Hathi lokho kudlula mina. Njalo kungokuqinileyo lemfotha Nkosi bekwenile. Kuthi kunjalo izihlahla eziprimayo lazo zikhulile. Kodwa umuntu kuthiwe siyameasure for 2 months umuntu athole $90. Ulengane. Umuntu ungabona umuntu ezinikela ukungena ejokothokweni akukho lula. Ijokothoko lalenyaka lilenyoka lenile khona kancinyane. Kodwa ngendlela abantu ababhadala ngakhona ngikhuluma kanje la namuhla abakabhadala. Angazi kumbe abantu laba kababanjwa njengabantu. Angazi ukuthi bathathwa njani. Ngicelani sonke singene ezinyaweni zabo. Sinanzelele sikuthathe lathi sikufake ukuthi nxa kuyini ngisatshayisa u4 ngisilesha ngene ngo7 ngiyephuma le mali engaka njalo ngingayiphiwanga engingayiboni bathola ukukhala ibizo. Nithi nxa sesithi ngiyabuzisisa kanti kuhamba njani bathi hayi vele yona imali yakho niyaphuzulu kubuya. Ibuya njalo ngamanganyana angayenzi lutho. Umuntu kathengi lutho ngayo. Umuntu kayelelisi ukubhadala irent ngayo. Hayi ngicela bananzelele kunanzelele ngiyacela ngoba ngameva ahlabayo ayahlaba.
Same item.
Just writing on the same item, I think we may more but I just feel like maybe I also need to add. Your worship, I don't know how many rates that you are using. Because at least in a way, $90 after working for 2 months. There are some who are given $280 a cup of tea after working for 2 months. And your worship is level in a 6 years. But Tina is a city council. Let's try to be human enough. Even those who are doing our measurements, can they also try to be human? You cannot say after working for 2 months, into a slasher, we hammer every day in worship. They say a slasher, and then you are told to put your money is equivalent to 700 or even 600 or even 200, 300 US dollars. What it means that after sharing, so many don't actually $20 or $30 after working for 2 months a slash. This is labor. Then the second issue also, these same people are also being told, I don't know how this is being done, tax clearance. From I don't know, talk maybe tax clearance for them to access their money. These are people who do not own companies. These are people who are poor, and putting a burden on them to say for you to access your money, you carry the tax clearance. I know maybe it might be a government policy, but you also need to engage because the government is government, so that at least this is also putting us Tina as a councillors in a very difficult situation. Because abantu lava culture through Tina as a councillors. If people are going to go for 3-4 months in a slash every day, one man the second thing they are now being told to so many from this office to another for them to get their money. I appeal through the office, your worship, which is somebody similar to Abantu when another person is there. These are people from our own homes, they are residents of Nyabo.
On the same.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi, ngibona nami sebekhulumile kodwa kwami ubuza beshilo.
Ukuthi ngabantu somkhasebenzisiwe umsebenzi ukhona mkhulu. Ngoba abantu bahamba endaweni ezifuna ukuthi kukhathwe. Isicelo sami ngisokuthi ngebantu bekhona abethu abekhansila abasebenza nokuthi laba esibadilile emawathi. Besicela ukuthi lapha abachiye khona nje abantu abasebenza. Cela laphana beqedise ngoba kule emgwaqweni laphana kula lapho kumele kukhathwe khona ngoba abantu bahamba endlini. Kade sibahambe eminyakeni kungena ama-toilet awakho. Ngapha kulotshani, ngapha kunjani kumnyama. So sicela ukuthi nje banikhansile sibanisile. Cela ke abethu abekhansile abasebenza ukukhatha beqedise khona lapho kusele khona. Yabo.
Item 12.
Item.
Okay. You've got the floor, sir.
Okay, Your Worship, I think you sit on the, thank you very much, Your Worship. You sit in the engineering committee, am I right? Mm-hmm. Yes, the report is, they are reporting that generally, on quality, generally owing to reasons such as dense veget thicket, I think worn out and insufficient tools. The report itself is admitting that people cannot work in such an environment considering the current rate that is there. I think, can we task you, Your Worship, to look into this thing? If you, the mayor and the committee cannot resolve this thing, the next time can you not bring this? Because we're in conflict with residents right now. They are on council contract, we are paying them peanuts, and we are expecting them to do a perfect job with this kind of report. Thank you, Your Worship.
On 12.
Thank you, Your Worship. A lot has been said. Last year, we had this same conversation about delayed payments for community groups. I don't know whether it's a reflection of the respect that the finance department is giving them or what, but we should not be having this conversation year in, year out. If people work, they should be paid promptly on time so that they can spend the little that they have labored for without being shuttled between pillar and post. So I think we need closure on this issue. We should not be, we should not find ourselves having this same conversation next year. I think if we are going to find ourselves in a similar predicament, then it means there is a glaring anomaly that we have been ignoring all this time. So please look into that, pursue it, so that we get a proper conclusion. Because honestly, a whole local authority paying such a pittance to people who are vulnerable in a vehicle which is supposedly meant to actually cushion them, so that maybe they can even pay some of that money to the city in the form of rates and other things. I think it's a travesty of Himalayan proportions. Thank you, Worship.
Last issue,
On 12, yeah. Yeah. Are you on 12? You're on 12. Thank you.
uhlupho olunye oluba khona i-department ikhanya ikwazi i-new delimitation. Thina kimi kuwadi yambalisile ukuthi bachaye kwenye iside yewadi bathi akusikho kuwadi 17 okudinga ukuthi kumele i-department yenze research ibe kwazi amawadi ahamba njani.
Have we concluded debate on 12? Any further debate?
28.
Sir, what are you on?
14.
40.
14.
14. You have the floor, sir.
Ngifuna ukukhuluma ngendaba yomgwaqo. Izizulu liningi lesiphathamandla isikolo siyafuna ama-signage amakhaya. Ama-signage ezikolweni mina ewadini nami ward 24. Ilabantwana abangezwayo endlebeni abagogekileyo. Sicela ama-signage anjalo Manondwane laphana. Sicela ama-zebra lines ngasakhaya isikolo sezivulwa bayachaka kula ma-Honda Fit kathesi abafana abagijimayo. Umthetho. So sicela at least kube kungaba le problem. Sitholakala ku-city council sisendleleni eqondileyo. Ngibuye njalo lasedolobheni siphathamandla. Abadala sebesesaba lokupaka imoto town. Isizathu ama-lines ethu because of i-TTI. Ikhaya izihlahla lapho kudwetshwe khona ama-lines adwetshwa phakathi kwezihlahla. Isihlahla sometimes sigobile. Iline yasihamba lapha imoto ayikwani ungakhayela imoto zethu siphathamandla siyazilungisela zihluzukile ngenxa yokuthi khona ngapha usunyathela ilines sicela belungisise ama-lines lezihlahla kukwane imoto benzele ukuthi kukwane imoto zonke kumbe bameasure ngama-Honda Fit angazi abameasure ngemota ukuthi khona imoto zikwane phakathi kwama-lines. Belungise ama-lines akhona abantwana be-TTI abasebenzayo lama-residents sokuhlala kubiwa size sizwele labantwana ukuthi ngapho uthwele ibhuku ufuna ukubhala but imoto ayikwani lapho kudwetshwe khona. Uyayibona sibili ukuthi isihlahla sihamba phezu kweline. Kwake kwakhulunywa kuyinto lokhu but akulokhu kungakalungiswanga. Ama-residents lawa yiwo ama-residents wona lawa esiwafuna ukuthi ezobhadala ama-rates esiwabe sesiwahlukumeza njalo lesilwane lesithiwa yi-TTI. So asibaphatheni kuhle even izwe kukhulunywa i-vending ibona labana ama-rates esilathi sizowabhadala yizi izimali zakhona esinatha ngawo amanzi khona la. So asibahlonipheni sibanikeni i-good service. Ngiyabonga.
14 as well. You have the floor.
We are currently requesting for gravel. The roads are like potato fields, left, right, and center. So we are kindly asking for Kada. Thank you.
What item?
40.
40.
Lero lidane kumase phambili ohamba khomabhini ngeke ngazikhosela simami sekule photo amaphoto lawana elaliwatsho meya ukuthi khona lesi phakathi komgwaqo ayingozi waye ngingahambiye walungisa mina olusende 2 months ngihlala ngikhuluma ngawo ngoba umgwaqo lwana umase phambili ubhizi uhamba umabhini so amabhodana lokhu egedika izimota zihlala zitshayile khona phana abantu bayatshawa bayenzani so ngicela ama-photos maybe they are 3 kumasiyephambili but they are now deep. So that's isicelo sami ukuthi ngicela khona ukho kuphila sengikhulumile kulokhu kuzeni but angizwakali ngicela ukuthi ngizwakale.
Item 28. Item, ma'am, 15, you have the floor, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am, did you want to respond?
Yes, I wanted to add
on 14?
Yes.
You have the floor, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to concur with her because I remember in our last full council, Mayor, you asked councillors to bring like the most affected roads in their wards so that people can work, so that the engineer can work on it. So I think maybe to encourage them, I just wanted to remind them to bring forth the roads then probably they can be out.
Thank you. Ma'am, you've got the floor. Item 15.
Nangibali report leyi ithi banjwe ngobunono ibanjwe kahle igodini ngibona ngani inkosi yiyo enza iBulawayo ingabonakali ukuba lidolobha njalo singakhangeli ku 11% lamhlanje kodwa lokho esikhangela ngobunono kuhle ukuthi sibambe kuhle sifuna ukuthi kube lesisombuluke kube lempumela ukuthi iphume ukuthi sithini ngegodini igodini lalenzi kuhle koBulawayo ama vendors asephumile egodini ngoba it's expensive njalo akula business njalo asifisi ukubabona behlukunyezwa lapha bakhona ezilonke igodini siyibamba ngobunono siyacela ukuthi likhangele indaba yegodini right.
The Deputy Mayor has item 28. 17, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Drums were put as a temporary measure to assist in the control of traffic during peak hours. However, our drums are now clumsy. And it is my submission to suggest that we can either use concrete lane dividers, and as such, council can as well advertise on those lane dividers. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, what? 20. You have the floor.
ngivakatshela i-tower block siphathamandla ama-lift lawa ngibone ngani ngakapheli akomishinele endleleni siphathamandla ngigadile i-lift ngisaku-12 but ngiyehlele ku-6 ngoba kabe kubhale 6 angazi ukuthi what's going on ayikutshengisi ngithole umphakathi wazomnyawazontshontsha ayisupheli I understand ayini ku-7 so which means afile ama-lift lawa i-contractor kayiphenduke ibuye izolungisa ama-lift isibiza amakansila wonke sigade
What item? So, sorry?
On the same item,
Same item, yes.
Yeah, I know it might sound funny, but on a serious note, I've been there myself as well. I think there are some anomalies with those lifts. And I think it may be, because in 10 gathering, one of the workers, a passenger was like, no, this one actually really problem. But still, I'm okay, like, I don't know, anomalies of that we think maybe they need to rectify.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe let's try to correct it before it becomes a disaster.
Right, the Deputy Mayor has been very patient for item 28.
Right, thank you, Worship. Yeah, ngifuna ukuphawula nge-street lighting. I-report siyayibona inhle kakhulu, but ngithanda ukuthi ngikhuthaze i-department kulezi ndawo emalokishini okuhlala khona abantu abahamba emnyameni kule mugging these days. Then izakhamizi they form committees bese zizithengela ama-solar lights. Sezibuya ku-council ukuthi council sicela lisifake. I-council ithi currently imoto yabo liyanele engalweni lenkosi bathi file. Then the same residents are saying, but during trade fair, sibone kulenye fire brigade which was working ilungisa umgwaqo we-trade fair. Can't that same vehicle also assist us? So ngicela please ama-issues ama-donation siwa expedite siwenze masinya ngoba ama-residents abetshayile their hard earned monies ukuthi bancedise ba-complement i-council. So sicela sibancedise especially Ward 2 North End. Sebemfonele iviki yonke senze ngavoid ama-phones abo. Bekhala ngokuthi bacela i-council izobafithela. They've got the lights ready and they've been there over here. We are saying you don't have that vehicle which can assist to fit them. I thank you, Worship.
Are you on 28, sir? You have the floor.
I think mina ngakabuyile kuba ngikhansila e-Theta 7 kule tower light ese-library clinic yile lisepark yile libambileyo vele izinto zonke zikakhansila. I-tower light letaka discovered ukuthi sesilihambele kakhulu life ama-breakers. Sabuza ngama-message ukuthi ama-breaker akhona ayimalini siwathenge siwafake lakathi esilempendulo asilayo ukuthi i-tower light lifuna ama-breaker ukuthi lisebenze. But Amanda, sicela sibe serious izakhamizi lezinye ezinye. Ngiyabonga.
On the same item, Your Worship, like Deputy Mayor has rightfully stated, we have been trying to navigate around this issue of public lighting to a point where residents put their resources and bought lights. But now it would seem that the hold up is at our end as the city. So it seems this is not the only case where doors are closed in the face of well-meaning individuals who want to meet the city halfway. Earlier on, a fellow councillor, Mahlangu, spoke about the need to have an adaptable mindset, the need to adapt to the ever-changing complexities of urban life. This is what we need. It should be a collective mindset change so that we can move forward together in a progressive direction. I thank you.
Move the report.
No, I want to respond to a couple of issues first. I want to come back to the issue of grass cutters and the related issue of not having the necessary slashes. And just dealing with the last point, sir, Councillor Moyo, it's the same issue. And I think, Town Clerk, one of my frustrations, and I think it's shared by many councillors here, is in the manner in which we allocate resources. Let's deal with the issue of the payment. It's unconscionable for people to get $30 or $45 a month for hard work. The minimum wage is $150. That's the statutory, lawful minimum wage. And it's not a lot of money in the context of our budget, which is hundreds of millions. And so that must be addressed. If we proclaim Ubuntu, that we're committed to that principle, how does that commitment relate to the treatment of slashers? And it's not just in that area. We've spoken about how we can maintain our roads. We have thousands of unemployed young people who are drifting into drugs and alcohol because they have no hope. Surely in our budget allocations, we must make provision for these unemployed young people, hard-working young people, but they've got to be treated with dignity. Tied into that, we have a major problem with basic equipment and utensils. I've told some of you the shock that I had in the indigenous forest at Centenary Park when we had to get these paths leveled. And I was told there wasn't a single functioning wheelbarrow in the whole of the city. Not one. In a city of 800,000 people. And the same in roads department. Not a single functioning compactor. We've got 10 compactors, all of which are unserviceable. There's a fundamental malaise. It doesn't cost a lot of money. We also say that we want to support local. The last time I looked, Triggers manufactured a lot of this equipment. I think I'm correct in saying. And even if Triggers don't, I guarantee if we go to Makakoba market, there are informal manufacturers. They manufacture wheelbarrows there. I guarantee they will be able to manufacture slashing equipment. And for minimal money, we can address both a decent wage and the provision of equipment. And just one final word on the tower lights. It's shocking that residents have pooled money together and yet can't get them installed. We need to have, and I know that members of management are sympathetic, but we need this relationship between residents and management not to obstruct but to facilitate. If we have that collective exercise, we will get a lot more done for minimal cost. But I think that we'll deal with this further in committee. Can we move that report? No. Chair, do you want to respond? Yes. You have the floor.
Before I respond, I just want to give my colleague, Councillor Ndogo, to respond on one or two issues, then I'll wrap up. Councillor.
Thank you very much. I think it has been aptly captured by all the councillors. It was to do with veld management. Honestly speaking, we have not done a good job of it because the grass cutting that was done this year, it was left incomplete because most of the workers absconded. Speaking for my ward, they didn't even do a third of the whole ward. I don't know how they got to know how much they were going to be paid, but all in all 10 of them were given 350 USD after doing the grass cutting for 2 months. So you divide that by 2, you get somewhere around $18 per month. So that is horrible. So I think that we need to rethink our strategy of grass cutting, like you have already captured, that the tools, the equipment that they need to use, they need to have better tools than we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Still on the issue raised by my then Councillor Ndogo. These are the team, my councillors. Tina is engineering. Our job is to avail themselves. Then we hand over to finance. So the issue of payment, sizadila sizazamkhulumisana lo-chairperson we-finance department yakhe. Then there's one councillor who raised the issue of ambulances. We have at most 5 ambulances on the road per given time, your worship. But sifuna about 30. Then on the issue of Amalif, I told you our main ones. You note that previously we used to have iron leads. Abantu baba cast iron land, they used to steal it very tenisa because of the market value. Now we use reinforced concrete or polymer leads because they don't have market value. So people cannot steal that one. Then on the issue of most of your concerns have been noted, your councillors. But on the issue of Rangers, I hope since the budget is passed, maybe the management that is want to find everything together the tools of trade, Rangers. Then one councillor also spoke the issue of lift. Of course, when I went to but the truth is that I saw Wonga 70. It's better now than Butala, honestly speaking. I feel like it's better than nothing. The management would die. Even with the big carriation, but Lungi is a Lapaba Pamba Secona. Then the second Sala Pants, your worship, will issue Yem Kwako. One councillor spoke, was you note that your worship, amatipas, amaluchwane. So, at one time, town clerk who promised to budgeting a passer, will any matters in other possessing ama 8 moving equipment from Belarus, if I'm not mistaken. So, hopefully, equipment then ama 8 moving equipment lama tippers are my name, then the visibility on the road is our secret.
Move the report. Chair of Town Lands and Planning, please move.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I move that the report of the Town Lands and Planning Committee meeting held on the 15th of April 2025 be received and the various recommendations contained then be adopted, except for items 1 up to 10 which have been affected by the Minister of Local Government circular dated the 1st of May 2025, which has been sent to all local authorities. I therefore request that this council defer these items to a time when the moratorium will be lifted. I thank you.
Thank you. Debate on that? No debate? Move. I move the report of the meeting held on Tuesday, the 22nd of April. Does anyone second that?
Second.
Debate? What item, ma'am?
Item 7.
Anything before 7? What item, ma'am?
Item 5.
Item 5. Any other bids? Ma'am, you have the floor.
Ngiyabonga Nkosi, ngililunga le-GP. Ngifisa ku-eda ama-recommendations laphana kwayi-2 abemathathu. Ngizabala ngesikhiwa, mbhale ngesikhiwa. Noting that one of the core objectives of the Junior Council is to create and support structures that engage the youth of Bulawayo in civic affairs. It is essential that the relationship between the patron and the Junior Council remains strong, cooperative, and conducive to youth development. recognizing that the Junior Council coordinates various youth clubs and organizations. The role of the patron is pivotal in providing guidance, mentorship, and institutional support. However, the recent breakdown in the relationship between Councillor Pinyat and the focal persons within the Junior Council has led to a lapse in communication and hindered progress on youth-led initiatives. In the light of the above and acknowledging that the patron of the Junior Council must be young councillor who falls within the recognized youth group age in order to effectively relate and represent the aspirations of the youth, I propose that the... Can I be protected? I propose that Councillor Pinyat be relieved of her duties as patron. I further move that the Councillor Mercy Furanai be appointed as the new patron of the Junior Council. Councillor Furanai, being a young and energetic leader with proven commitment to youth empowerment, is well suited to strengthen the Council's efforts and restore productivity engagement between the patron and the youth. I thank you.
With response to this, it's not in the minutes. Yeah, but I think that this should be referred to committee.
Why?
Because it involves a councillor, and there may well...
5 speaks on junior councillors. I think I'm on the right track.
I understand what you're saying, ma'am, but my own view, and I'll canvass the views of councillors, my view is that a debate like this should be held in committee. Is that the general view? I ask that you bring the motion in committee, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We're on item 5.
Mine is 7.
7? Any before 7? Ma'am, you have the floor. You've got the floor, ma'am.
No, thank you. Mina ngizakhuluma ngohambo obesoluthuphile koBulawayo. Amaphephandaba ade sesibhala izinto ukuthi hayi uBulawayo akusela muntu ohambileyo. Ngoba bekulokho kungani kulokuqokozela ukuthini kuba hamba kanjani. Laloba nje bebengakunanzeleli ukuthi hayi uhambo lolu bekulo mngani obenguye obengani phethe ingcebethu. Njalo ngithi ngisengeza lapho ku trip le nxa kuzenzakala ukuthi be khona. Njengoba siyiCouncil elandela ama-principles. Kufanele a relevant committee ehambelana lalowo msebenzi ibe yiyo njengoba sethembana safakana kuma-committee aqhakathekileyo. Ukuthi kube yibo abahambayo kuqala kube sokusengezwa abanye abangafisa ukuthi bahambe. Sinanzelela ukuthi singabe sisenza ukuthi sitshintshe ngokuma-interest kabani kubani. Kusuka kuphazamise indlela ipolicy ye-local government ehamba ngakhona. Ngoba sokubonakalisa ngani akusela committee irrelevant to that. Okwenza njalo kube lokuxokozela amongst all the councillors ukuthi kanti thina sesingobani nabobani. Njalo Nkosi kudala ukungazwanani. Lingabe litshintsha ama-committee ngendlela yokuthi kusutha kanye this time. Sikhangelela ukuthi nxa luzaba khona uhambo lokufunda asihambiseni the relevant committees in the right places. Ngiyabonga.
Sir? Item 7. Anyone before 7? No?
I stand on the same item, and my proposal is that we, if possible, we have try and strike a balance and have more councillors going, and maybe reduce on the number of the management that are going. We are trying to bring cohesion, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart with the spirit of positive collaboration. Your Worship, this thing has got a negative snowballing effect on the relationship of councillors. But again, I have a concern, Your Worship. Future Water has been the committee which has largely been in contest of this. But the utility, Your Worship, speaks directly to the present water. Because we are creating a company which is 100% owned by City Council to deal with the present water in terms of reticulation and delivery to ensure our residents have adequate water. I'm not sure how this speaks to future water. The utility, Your Worship, that we are talking about is a business and investment portfolio, falls under the business and investment portfolio. The present water that we want to preserve by ensuring that we fix the reticulation system that delivers water to the residents is what the consultant is doing with the City Council is a preserve and a prerogative of the engineering department. The future water, Your Worship, is already well represented in that committee. The deputy mayor is sits in that committee. The future water chair sits in that committee. The chairperson of environment, also of health, also sits in that committee, is also a member of future water. Honestly speaking, when we want to be honest and deliberate about this, Your Worship, let's be fair in our understanding or our lack of it. Because we are then going to say this thing is future water. But how does the present speak to the future? Unless you are talking parables. The representation as advised by Town Clerk and his administration, to my understanding, is fair, Your Worship. Because apart from the 4 representatives of future water, there are other committee members who are representing the committees that elected them as chairs. And to this understanding, I thought this was the fairest. So I am yet to be advised from the contest where future water feels they must all go as a committee. To do what? On the present water situation. On the utility that is a prerogative of the Business Environment Committee. On the present water that is also a prerogative of the engineering. And yet they are represented by 4 people. Your Worship, Nyapela.
We are on item 7, I think. Yeah. Item 7, sir.
Yes, item 7. And when I was reading ngoba singathi sonke sitole umntwana oyakhiwayo sesiya eSouth Africa as councillors, so that sibuya sisiya kuma residents siyabatshela ukuthi khona siboneni into le umntwana lo esimbone eSouth Africa uyasinceda ngani, but kungahamba ama-councillors amalutshwana azahamba yini kumawadi wonke ekhulumela amawadi wonke ukuthi hayi into le utility imi kanjani, ngoba singakhangela futhi ithebule le isitshengisa even umanagement kube kuhamba umabhasi lo mnina wakhe umabhasi lo mnina wakhe boss and vice, and then they are going what was there kunangaza kufunga kwenziwa elikuhamba likufihlela ama-councillors. We should have called a meeting la kuya lathi sibonisane silungise into sisonkena ikhona into size siyizwele ema-newspapers. Next time nxa sisenza ulutho, here is our house, ayibhadalwa le, singene lapha sizokhulumela izinto zomndeni wethu, silapha ndawonye sivumelane akulanto ezaphuma emaphepheni akulanto ezaphuma nga sisonke singavumela siyasala siwelelana siyaliphelekezela futhi lase-airport but ngingahamba licatshile ngiyalitshela ezikhansilazi ngizibhakela le nhlamba emafonini utshintsheni sicela next time sibeningi abantu singo-6 fathers asokubonana asitshontshe lutho so singenze ngani siyatshontsha asikuhlabileni sonke phansi uzothatha kwakufonela umadzana ngilayo ukuthi buya le passport kanti madzana ngakutsheni then sesithi singama-6 fathers abanye bayabizwa abanye ababizwa next time akulanto ethi kumali ingavele ithi siyabuya sonke e-airport sihamba
Councillors, I don't want to cut debate on this, but it is 7:10. Please keep it short. On 7.
I think we should clarify this thing today. If the water utility item is a water and utility committee item, why are you then calling us to? If there is a very thing, you are calling the entire council. You are taking the entire council to workshops. And that very thing, the water utility privatization, commercialization, whatever, will have to be adopted by this entire council. If you feel that the future water and the action committee should solely handle that thing, then don't call us in your future, just like any other item that we are debating. Call that committee, they handle it there. If they want to fly to South Africa, take them there. But eventually we will come here to this council. Because that privatization or commercialization, whatever you want to call it, affects everyone, affects every resident. I don't understand why people want to personalize that item. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Your Worship.
The truth of the matter is residents are not in support of this thing of us.
Objection, Your Worship. No. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Councillor Wobe is misleading this council. I think, no, can you kindly listen what I'm saying? How many words, if the chamber secretary or how many words have been consulted?
What's your point of order?
My point of order is that Councillor Wobe is misleading council. Only it's less than 5 words that have been consulted.
We've heard
so you should not say residents are refusing this.
No, I'm saying
5 words have been consulted.
One
out of 29.
Thank you, sir. We've heard your point of order. Councillor Hovick, please carry on.
Maybe, that is one. Right, my word is not in support of me going to Joburg. The general consensus in my word, they are saying, Councillor, if there is anything that you want to understand about this utility, why don't you do it in Bulawayo? If there are people that side who can lecture us, why not bring those people in Bulawayo and be lectured nicely? We have everything here so that we understand. Why do you want to go to South Africa? Why do you want to go to South Africa?
Councillor Please, can we respect the person speaking? Councillor, you've got the floor.
Thank you. I would like to concur with Councillor Mahlang for those who are listening, because we need to understand that look at this thing in the context of the learning workshops that we held before. From Shabane, we went to Gweru, we went to Mtare as the entire council. So this issue of look and learn visit must not be viewed as a committee issue. It is actually broader than one single committee. This thing is about the whole city. I raise this because the matters that we are going to learn about touch on governance. They touch on infrastructure. They touch on broader issues like the organogram. They touch on the tariff setting. They touch on the bulk water. They touch on the finance side of things. So it's a whole host of departments that must go and learn.
Capacity. Yes. Capacity.
The other thing that we need to understand is that there's been a lot of hype about Joburg has no water. We are not going to learn about the failures of Joburg. We are going to look at the structure and how they've been operating it over the years. If there are issues to do with the shortage, we are going to learn. And my understanding is that this will not be the end. And there is now a stampede on who must go and who must not go. But look, there are people who had taken an anti-utility stance, if you have been following what we have been going through. But look, some of us saw that the bigger picture was to address the water challenges of Bulawayo and the infrastructure, because we agreed that as a city budget, we have no capacity. And the water utility will then enable us to have partners coming on board with the grant funding, with the financial attractiveness, which we are not able to do as a council. And the plan, from my understanding, is not going to end with this entourage that is going to Joburg. As we move forward, the whole councillors, crop of councillors who are here, they are going to have trips arranged for them. Thank you.
I believe in consensus. And I believe that in whatever we do, we should not leave our stakeholders behind. These are the people who guide us. These are the people who does the checks and balances of whatever decision which we want to take as a city. One of the reasons why our budget, Your Worship, was delayed in the past is that there was a complaint which was lodged from the stakeholders to the minister. As a result, the budget was delayed. And it had a huge effect on the city. The running of the city affairs was greatly affected by that. Why is it that we did not even include the BUPRA, right? These are our stakeholders to be part of this entourage. Because for the sake of transparency, why not taking our stakeholders on board so that they've got an understanding, so that when we come back home here, there is a buy-in from our stakeholders and us as council here. Thank you, Worship.
Please keep it short, councillors. We are running out of time.
Thank you so much. I'm glad this conversation comes at a point where Bulawayo is trying to find lasting solutions in the question of water crisis, and it is of fundamental importance for councillors who are the policy makers or decision makers to make informed decisions out of the capacity or the learnings that they might have in each and every corner. Also, Your Worship, allow me to speak on the culture that is prevailing in this council, which I think is bringing the name of the council into disrepute. You would see that the media, of course, I don't know, thank God some of them they are here, they need to be reminded that they must desist from circulating false information about this council. I think it's a wrong culture. I don't know whether there are journalists within this council. There's been too much of media outlet, and it's bringing our names also to this repute, and I think that culture must stop with immediate effect. Also, Your Worship, I think this issue is very important to this council in terms of relations and in terms of finding the way forward. But I also think it is my view and my submission that it might be misinterpreted with the residents who are watching us now. Therefore, I request, I value every submission that has been made in this house, but it is my request because I feel like there are tensions and emotions around the issue, but also only a collective method of trying to find a way forward that will benefit the residents and this council. Can you please move this topic and this debate to council a committee so that if there are any issues to be raised, maybe legally or with the town clerk, we also have the freedom to share a DFG why some decisions were taken and what is the way forward. Because I feel like right now the residents might highly misinterpret us and will be seen as a council who is prioritizing some things which are not probably on their side not necessary. So I humbly submit to this house to say, let's move this question and this debate to council committee whereby everyone will freely express and you freely shout and you freely ask. Then we find the last solution. Thank you so much.
Is the broad sentiment? No. Is there any debate on any other issues? Any debate on any other issues?
The report.
So, no, but before we go to committee, councillors, please, may I have your attention? I do want to, because it's necessary for the public to understand. As you know, I don't declare myself a prophet. I'm not a prophet. But the moment the town clerk introduced this issue in the manner it was, I knew there would be a problem. And I want to say before we go into committee that there are three broad problems, and I'm not taking sides in this debate.
But we're not debating, Your Worship.
No.
Serious. Let's avoid this.
Deputy Mayor, I am speaking now, please. The first is that this is divisive.
Let's take it that side.
The first is that I have the floor. You do not have the floor. No. What is your point of order?
We have said moving this to council in committee, and we are recording the debate. That's not in order, Your Worship. You're out of order, Your Worship.
I'm not out of order.
You're
Sit
out
down.
of order.
I'm not debating it. You need to hear what I have to say. The first point I'm making, as we've seen from this debate and the fact that it has to go to committee, is that it is divisive. It is a divisive issue. Secondly, we need to bear in mind how this is perceived by the public. And thirdly, we need to consider the venue. Is it Johannesburg where the water situation is failing, or should it be something like Lusaka? Those are the 3 points that we need to discuss in committee. We move it to committee. Is there any further debate? We move the report. The report is moved.
Application for leave. What will I finance?
Chair of Finance.
Finance Chair.
Please move your report.
Shall I call out to... Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the report of Finance and Development Committee meeting held on the 22nd of April 2025 is submitted, be received, and the various recommendations contained therein be adopted.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Debate?
Move.
No debate?
Move.
You're obviously all very hungry. Is it just me? No, we're not finished. Are there any notifications of leave? I'm making a notification. I will be on leave from the 12th of May to the 29th of May. The Deputy Mayor will be acting Mayor during that period.
12 to 19.
To the 29th.
To 29th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. The meeting's over. Closed.